For as long as I can remember, I always liked taking care of children. It wasn't until I was 12 that I started taking care of my little brother, and a while later, some neighbors' parents would drop their children off at my house because they knew I could be trusted. Growing up, no one was surprised when I told them I planned to study to be a kindergarten teacher. Meanwhile, all my neighbors were glad that I was older, as I was the only reliable person who could take care of their children. One of the families that were happy was the Taylors, because since they had their son, they hardly ever went out anymore. They're good people, but they're also very cautious of other people. So when they found out that I was going to start babysitting on a more serious basis, they immediately called me. "Are you sure you'll be all right on your own, Debbie?" "Of course. I've babysat many children before. Don't worry and enjoy your evening."
I know, honey. It's just that we're used to you being little Deb. From one day to the next, you become a responsible adult.
Tell my parents. They still treat me like I'm 12 years old. They only care about you, honey, just like we care about little Andrew. Look, there's something we need to tell you about our boy. Of course. What's wrong with him?
In the last few days, Andrew was talking to an imaginary friend.
Aw, that's so cute. At first we thought the same thing, but he blames his friend, for a lot of mischief he gets into. That's normal for all boys his age. You'd be surprised how many girls don't admit to their pranks.
Yes, the strange thing is that we know our son perfectly well. We know when he is lying, and he is convinced that he is telling the truth. We're afraid it's some kind of problem that needs to be treated with a psychopedagogue.
I understand. If he talks about his friend, I'll play along, but I'll keep an eye on him. Don't worry. Thanks, Debbie. You saved us.
Well, we should go. Remember, all the phones are on the fridge, and you can call us anytime on either cell phone, okay?
Of course. Thank you very much. I won't let you down. I knew they were nervous as well, but that only made me try harder to take care of Steve. I really wanted to make a good impression. Hey, Andy.
Debbie!
Andy jumped out of bed, very happy, and came to hug me. He was also happy that I was coming. I was like a big sister to him.
Is it true that you're gonna babysit me?
Of course, Andy. But me being your babysitter is no excuse for you to misbehave. You have to be on your best behavior, so your mom will let me keep taking care of you, yeah?
Yes, I will be on my best behavior.
What about your friend? The one you play with when no one else is around?
Oh, you mean Gary?
Yeah, I hear he gets you into trouble.
Oh, he always does, but I swear I tell him not to. The other day he knocked over a piece of furniture, and I got really mad and I scolded him.
You're a very good boy, Andy. Keep playing while I get your food ready. As I was cooking for Andy, I realized that it was already 9 o'clock. The night was going by fast. I kept stirring the water to make Andy some noodles until suddenly a toy flew violently in my direction and almost hit me in the head. It was a toy airplane. It was quite heavy and had sharp parts. When I saw it, I immediately recognized it was Andy's toy, so I went to talk to him angrily. What has gotten into you?
Hi, Debbie. Oh, is dinner ready yet?
Andy, you promised me that you were going to be good.
Oh, but I am being good.
Then what's this?
Oh, I was looking for that. Oh, where'd you find it?
You just threw it at me while I was making dinner. Don't play dumb.
No, I promise I didn't. It was Gary. He was just here and he wanted to say hello. You have to believe me.
In 10 minutes, the food will be ready. I want you to eat and go straight to the bath.
I'm serious. You gotta believe me.
No excuses. Just listen to me.
Okay.
After lunch, it was time for Andy to take a bath. To be honest, I was still a little upset. But he's still just a kid, so I calmed down and went back to treating him as if nothing had happened. I'm sure he learned his lesson, since he went into the bathroom without any complaints. A few minutes later, I went into the bathroom to leave him the towels. He was in a basin full of water, having fun. But as soon as he saw me, he got embarrassed. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I've seen you naked for as long as I've known you.
Okay, but still, don't look at me down there.
It's okay. I just came to bring you a towel and tell you to hurry up and go to sleep.
Okay, 5 more minutes and I'll be out.
I'm going to be keeping track of time.
Okay, yes, now go!
Yeah. As I left, the door closed violently, and I panicked and fell backwards and ended up sitting on my butt. A child laughed, and I heard some footsteps walking away to Andy's room. Who's there?
Gary, I told you to wait for me in the room.
What? Andy, who the hell is here?
It's Gary. I didn't tell him to come, I promise. I just told him to stay in my room.
Andy, what's Gary like? Is he a kid?
Yes, he's a little boy. He comes to play with me every night. I told Mom and Dad, and they said no problem as long as, he behaves himself.
Get dressed, but don't come out here. Close the door and wait for me. Lock it.
Gary's good. He's just a little playful. Oh, don't tell Mom and Dad.
Ignoring him, I left the bathroom and, scared, walked slowly in the direction of Andy's room. Gary, I'm a friend of Andy's. You ran away from home? Your parents won't be happy, boy. I wanted to look confident and convinced, but I was terrified. When I entered the room, it was empty. I checked under the bed, behind the curtains, and in the closet, but saw no one. Did he run away again? I turned around to head for the bathroom, but before I left the room, the door creaked shut, and behind it, a strange figure was looking at me. It was Gary, but he was not a child. He was a grown man. He was tall, pale, and skinny. He was dressed as a child, in a sailor suit. He had an innocent face and a big smile. Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm Gary. Nice to meet you, miss.
Stay away. Andy's parents are coming and you'll be in trouble. You better go now.
Will I get in trouble with Mom and Dad?
Yes. You will be punished. You can't be here.
Dad and Mom can't punish me.
I ate them.
At first, I thought this man was mentally ill, but after he told me that, he revealed his true nature. This man had a cruel and sadistic look on his face, but what scared me the most was that he was not angry, but happy.
And, I still have some appetite.
Get away from me! Someone! Help! Help!
You're a babysitter, aren't you? You can take care of me too. I'm hungry.
As he said this, he walked slowly in my direction, as if enjoying every second of my fear. My first impulse was to run to the window and jump out, but I couldn't leave Andy alone with this monster. I pretended to be about to throw myself out the window, and the man became desperate.
No! Wait!
When I got close enough to him, he stretched out his hands to stop me before I threw myself. But instead of doing so, I quickly grabbed the lamp I had on the cabinet next to him and smashed it over his head. The man was a little dizzy, but quickly began to recover. I took advantage of this moment to run to the bathroom. Andy, open the door, fast! By the time I reached the bathroom door, Andy already opened it. Without hesitation, I grabbed the boy by the hand and ran out of the house. On the way out, many neighbors were already outside, and I hugged one of them, who was one of my closest friends. There's a man in the house! He tried to hurt us! You must catch him! With that said, I saw many men run into the house while I was still crying and hugging Andy and my friend. The nightmare was over. A few days later, I saw on TV a special report about this killer. It seemed that he had struck again.
Apparently, this criminal's pseudonym is Gary, although we still don't know if it's his real name. His modus operandi is to pose as a child and gain the trust of his victims, all of whom are minors, and then brutally murder them. Witnesses say that although he behaves like a child, the marks on the corpses found in garbage cans suggest that he does not suffer from any kind of mental deficiency and is fully aware of his actions. If your children claim to be talking to somebody you do not know, immediately call 911 and do not allow them to be alone.
I immediately turned off the television and cried. I could not finish watching the report because not only did I remember that night, but I imagined that the terrifying encounter I lived, many other people would continue to live it, but without such a happy ending. The nightmare may have ended for me, but it was far from over.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy.
When I was 16, I got my first job. At first, I was excited. I told myself many times how lucky I was to be hired so easily. But when my first day of work came around, I was so nervous that my mom offered to give me a ride in her car. Maybe she thought that talking to me would calm me down, but the truth was, it wasn't working. Are you listening, Bethy? I remember that question snapped me out of my thoughts. Soon, I turned to my mother before answering. Sorry, Mom, I'm a bit worried. Mom turned to look at me for a few seconds. She seemed to have an understanding smile on her face. Then she turned to look at the street while she told me, You'll do fine, honey. There's nothing to worry about. Daisy will like you. What if not? Relax. Haven't you taken care of your little brother? You have experience. Besides, you are a responsible and fun girl. You will do just fine. She just lost her dad, Mom. Mom sighed. She's just a little girl, Beth. For her, everything seemed to be so simple that I couldn't help but feel misunderstood and annoyed. That's exactly why I'm nervous, Mom. I'm sure you'll know how to handle it. You'll know what to do. What if not? My mom looked at me again for a few seconds. Is this all about college? She had discovered me. I asked you to stop worrying about it, Bethy. We've got money saved. Not enough. I noticed that Mom got a little upset. We'll know what to do when the time comes. I don't want you to stress about it. You'll do well in this job, and you'll be able to save for college. But if not, we'll be fine. Besides, I know you could find another. Everything will be fine. As usual, she was right, but that didn't calm me down. So I sighed and leaned my head against the car window. Okay. Shortly after our talk, we arrived at the neighborhood where the house I was supposed to go to was located. It was a bit small, but it looked cozy, like the home of a happy little family. Once Mom parked the car, I looked down at my wrist. That day, I had put on the pink watch I loved. With its help, I could see that it was 8:36 a.m. With a smile on her face, my mom told me, We arrived early. Yeah. Come on, Bethy, get out. Okay. I unbuckled my seatbelt and opened the car door. But before I got out, I turned to see my mother. Thanks for bringing me, Mom. With pleasure, darling. Remember, you'll do well. See you later, Bethy. I walked toward the house while listening to my mother's car drive away. My heart was beating fast. Once I was at the front door, I raised my hand to knock. But before I could, someone opened the door. It was Julia, the mother of the girl I was going to take care of. She seemed surprised. Beth, you've arrived. I waved to her. Hello, Jul. But the woman interrupted me. I was just leaving. Daisy's in the kitchen. Bye. I stood there in the doorway of the house, watching Julia walk away. I closed the door of the house. Luckily, Julia, an acquaintance of my mother, had given me a tour of the small house the day she accepted me to take care of her daughter, so I knew where the kitchen was. In front of me was a small hallway with a door on each side. The one on the right was open. After sighing, since I was still nervous, I entered the room to the right, which was a dining room. At the end of it was a doorless archway that led into the kitchen. Once I crossed it, I saw Daisy, a 6-year-old girl with long blonde hair and green eyes like Julia's. She was trying to pour orange juice into a small plastic cup. Hi, Daisy. The girl turned and looked at me for a few seconds, so I waited anxiously for a response. But without answering, she turned to continue trying to pour juice. That made me even more nervous than I already was. She didn't like me? Do you need help?
I can do it.
Once she had poured herself the juice, she turned and walked past me to the dining room. Daisy didn't even look at me. Instead, I watched her sit on a chair. When she started drinking the juice, I walked over to her. What would happen if she didn't like me? Was I going to be fired? Did you have breakfast, Daisy? Still not looking at me, the girl answered.
No.
Oh, what would you like to eat? I can prepare whatever you want. Suddenly, Daisy looked at me. Unfortunately, she seemed upset.
I don't want to eat anything.
Sometimes kids were just too random. Why not? The girl turned to see the cup in her hands with a sad expression. Maybe she wasn't so random.
I'm sad. Jerry died.
I felt as if my heart was hit hard. I wasn't ready for that, so I stood there for a few seconds, not knowing what to say. I even started sweating. Still, I didn't understand why she said Jerry, since that wasn't her father's name.
He was the most amazing goldfish ever.
Goldfish? I breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't know you had a goldfish. The little girl, excited, turned to see me.
Yes, the most amazing goldfish ever.
But soon, she became sad again.
I'd show it to you, but Mom got rid of him. She let him go down the toilet because he was dead.
In just a few seconds, the girl seemed to get upset. She was like a roller coaster of emotions.
But I don't believe her. Jerry was just upside down. He was doing a trick for me.
I didn't know if it was the best decision, but I decided to explain the situation to her. Perhaps her mother hadn't had time to do it. That's what happens when a fish dies.
Really? So Mommy did the right thing?
I'm sorry, Daisy. It's all right if you're sad.
Huh? I'm not sad anymore.
She wasn't anymore? The answer to my question came almost immediately as the girl made a big smile.
I'm happy. Mommy said she's gonna buy me a puppy.
I stared at her in confusion. I didn't know little kids could be like that. Or maybe I just didn't remember. Either way, her attitude gave me goosebumps. I'm home! From the living room, we heard Julia as she arrived.
Mommy!
Soon, Daisy's mom came into the living room and saw me and the girl sitting on the couch. Hello, little one. You seem happy. Was your day good?
Yes, Mommy.
The little girl began to inspect her mom from top to bottom as if searching for something.
Huh? Where's my pet, Mommy?
Come on, we'll go get your new pet. I looked at Daisy as she laughed. It seemed that mother and daughter loved each other very much. When I got home, I was exhausted. I wanted to be alone for a little while, but as soon as I closed the front door, Mom came. Bethy! She hugged me. How was your day? Did everything turn out okay? Yes, Mom. Great. Daisy is very sweet, isn't she? I immediately felt uncomfortable with her question. Yeah, of course. Although, little kids can be a bit creepy sometimes. I couldn't help but imagine the big smile on Daisy's face when she told me how happy she was to soon have a new pet. It was creepy, indeed, but after all, she was just a little girl. She didn't understand. But just a bit. The next time I went to take care of Daisy, I was much more positive. See you later, Beth.
Bye, Julia. Good luck.
After entering the house and closing the door, I began to hear some strange sounds, squeaks, that sounded like those made by a mouse. It didn't take long for me to get scared. Was there a mouse in this house? Since it could be dangerous for Daisy, I ran toward the living room where the sound was coming from. I couldn't have imagined what was happening. Daisy, what are you doing? The girl was sitting on the sofa with a hamster in her hands. She was pressing them so hard that the animal was desperately trying to get free. Next to Daisy was a hamster cage from which she had taken the pet. The girl just smiled at me when she saw me, as if nothing was happening.
Hi, Beth.
Concerned, I quickly went over to her and tried to take the animal away, but Daisy brushed my hands away.
She's mine.
The hamster continued to let out squeaks of pain. But Daisy, can't you see she's suffering? The girl took a closer look at the animal.
Suffering?
Yes, you're hurting her. I held out my palms to Daisy. Here, let me show you how to do it. Soon, the girl put the hamster in my hands, so I took her gently. Meanwhile, Daisy was watching her carefully. The pet had stopped squeaking. See? You have to do it gently.
Gently?
Yes, you know, carefully, without hurting her. Now that she wasn't squeaking, the hamster seemed like a nice pet to me. It's cute, isn't it? Daisy didn't answer me. What did you name it?
Hate?
A bad feeling began to make me nervous. What?
Hate. 'Cause I hate it.
Oh, I guess it's hard for you to adapt to a new kind of pet.
It's not that.
The girl shook her head.
I didn't want it. I don't like it.
Well, even if that's the case, it's your pet now.
Huh.
You'll end up loving Hate. You'll see.
Why do you think that?
'Cause Hate will be with you for a long time. Daisy's surprised expression gave me a bad feeling all over again.
A long time? Until when?
How was I going to answer a question like that? Well, until...
Until Hate dies? Like Jerry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Daisy made that unsettling, big smile of hers while looking at the hamster carefully. One afternoon, while I was sitting in the dining room with my mother, as we were eating together, my cell phone started ringing. I quickly took it out of one of my pant pockets and observed who was calling it. It was Julia, which surprised me. What is it, Bethy? Nothing. It's just that Julia doesn't usually call me. Without waiting any longer, I pressed the answer button and held the cell phone close to my ear. Julia? Hello, Beth. Sorry to bother you. Will you come tomorrow? Why would she ask me that? Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I go? Well, you see, Hate died. Huh? The hamster? But you've only had it for a few weeks. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was sick? Huh. Anyway, I adopted a cat. His name is Jewel. When you come tomorrow, please take care of him too. Sure. Bye-bye. The next day, I was there early, as usual. Remember to take care of Jewel too. I left Daisy in the living room. See you soon, Beth. As always, I waved goodbye. Then I went into the house and closed the door. I soon entered the living room. I was particularly upbeat that day. Hello, Daisy. I stopped talking as soon as I looked into the room. No one was there. See? I shrugged. Maybe she had gone to get food, so I walked to the dining room. Daisy? No one was there either. Daisy! I walked to the kitchen and went in, but again, the girl was not there. That's when a great fear began to make me nervous. Perhaps she was only in her bedroom or even in the bathroom. But then, why didn't Daisy answer me? Suddenly, a detail caught my attention. On top of one of the kitchen cabinets was the plastic cup that Daisy always used to drink juice. Hopelessly, I turned to continue looking for her. Daisy, where are... But I stopped as I was able to see through the kitchen window out of the corner of my eye. I turned back to look out the window. There you are. I was immediately relieved to see Daisy there in the yard. She was sitting on the ground and she was looking in the other direction, so I could only see her back, and therefore I didn't know what she was doing. Still, I smiled and walked out a door on the left side of the kitchen, which led to the backyard. I approached the girl, who still had her back to me. I soon noticed that Daisy was moving as if she was doing something with her hands. Daisy, here you are. What are you...
Beth?
When the little girl turned around, the joy was wiped from my face. In fact, I froze like a statue. What my eyes were seeing couldn't be true. Daisy, who was already on her feet, was covered in blood. Her hands, her face, and her clothes, all of her had splashes of the red liquid. At first, I panicked because I thought she was hurt, but then I saw the rest of the details. In her right hand was a knife, and near her feet on the ground was the corpse of a cat with guts and blood. What did you do? Daisy smiled, which made a lump form in my throat.
Jewel is dead now. Like Hate. Like Jerry. And like Daddy.
I watched her in silence.
You were right. If they die, a new pet will arrive. Soon, Mommy will bring me a puppy.
Sweat began to run down my face. I called Julia. The girl and I waited for her in the living room. Daisy sitting on the couch, still covered in blood, and me standing away from her.
Oh my!
She approached her daughter.
What happened? And why haven't you cleaned her? I'm not going to touch her.
Julia turned to see me.
Excuse me? I'm not going to touch a monster. What? She is a monster. She killed that cat on purpose. Just look at her. She doesn't...
Julia looked at her daughter for a few moments and then back at me.
She doesn't know what she did. She does. How dare you treat her like this? You know what, Beth? Get out of here. You're fired.
That shocked me for a few seconds. Of course she was going to fire me, but really? Was she justifying the fact that her daughter killed an animal? It didn't matter if she was a girl. That was murder. In the end, knowing that she was not going to admit what her daughter did, I left the house. Outside the house, parked, I saw my mother's car. I had asked her to come for me. Still in shock, I got in. She seemed worried.
What happened, Beth?
I couldn't answer.
Beth?
I couldn't even blink, and there was a lump in my throat. How could I explain everything to my mom? The only thing I could think of was how desperately I wanted that girl to not have any more pets.
Beth, what happened?